There is only one thing that you can control in your life. That's your thoughts. You can choose to be happy or you can choose to be miserable. It's just that simple. Join me for the next hour on Law of Attraction Talk Radio, where I hope to inspire you to make the conscious decision to be happy. For that is the exact place where you need to be to create your own magnificent reality. Let us begin now. Well, welcome to Law of Attraction Talk Radio. I'm Jules from beautiful Southern California, and I am so thrilled that you could be with us tonight. And not only thrilled, I am so honored that you are considering listening to this show. It's your vibration that I feel, and I'm just so delighted and so honored that you chose to spend time with us tonight. We have got a very, very special show, and it is all about astrology and our favorite international astrologer and world traveler, Tom Lescher. And he's going to be coming on talking about the month of March. You know, there's retrograde going on, not just with one planet, but maybe even a couple. So we want to learn exactly how that's going to affect our emotions and just to totally be aware so that we can have a smoother month. I think astrology is so fascinating. There is a real science to it. It's real. It has to do with the planetary alignments and the magnetic fields. It's not something to be laughed at. And the fact that they've known this for so many thousands and thousands and thousands of years, well, who are we to be naysayers? It's good stuff, and I really love how Tom puts everything together. He really is kind of special, and I know you agree with me. So stay tuned, kick back, relax, and join in with a couple of laughs as we talk to our old friend Tom Lescher. As we close another show, it is my sincerest wish that you have a wonderful week ahead. Remember, through you the world changes to reflect your happiness. If you'd like to comment on today's show, please send me an email to jules@loaradionetwork.com. Have you been receiving your free issue of Alms Times magazine in your email box? Every 2 weeks you'll receive this top quality magazine that has spiritual, metaphysical, and scientific information that will rock your world. Go to almstimes.com, OMTIMES.com to sign up for your free subscription today.
Hi there. I'm Christina, the Joyful Healer, and I'd like to give you a little more information about this wonderful 144-strand DNA activation that the angels will be doing through me on the cruise. First of all, I can't find the words to convey how big and how significant this is. I'm still constantly amazed. When the angels first showed me that there was more DNA that we could activate, I asked if it was activated in anyone that I personally knew. And the answer was no, but they guided me to the pictures of my ascended masters, and they showed me that it was activated in varying numbers of strands and varying strengths in all of them. The amount of love and light that results from this DNA activation is profound. It's huge, and it's to the same degree as the amount of light that people bring back when they have a near-death experience. Imagine that we're rewiring your system from being something like a 15-watt light bulb to something more like a 70-watt light bulb. That's like more than a 4 times increase, almost a 5 times. We actually will need to do this over 2 activations, and we'll be doing both of these on board the cruise because your system cannot handle this much of an upgrade all at once because it's just too much. You may have heard of the reconnection. Well, this DNA activation results in the reconnection of yet more of your personal energy grid to the universal grid, and through many more frequencies and in a much stronger way than the traditional form of the reconnection. You will feel lighter and freer, and you may find that you can love and appreciate life more than you ever can imagine. The angels are wishing this for us. This isn't just DNA activation. This is a way to quantum soul awakening. I look forward to seeing you on board.
Okay, welcome back. You know, we are living in such exciting times. We really did choose to come in this lifetime and experience it right now. Experience all the good, the bad, the ugly, and to create and learn about our power. To learn that we really are the co creators of life. And I wouldn't have missed this ride for anything. I am so excited. If you remember, we interviewed Foster Gamble a few weeks back, and he was talking about his movie called Thrive, and he's got a Thrive movement going on. And he's talking about the banking industry and just becoming aware and taking small but effective steps in correcting the situation. And I think it's wonderful because we can create a better reality for us in the future than rather accepting the status quo. Well, there's been a whole bunch of announcements come out, and unfortunately the mainstream media is not yet announcing it, but there has been about 40 major worldwide banks, their CEOs have been forced to resign. There's a whole bunch of things going up behind the scenes, but because of our awareness, it's working. We saw what we didn't like, and now we're creating something better. And the corruption is hopefully coming to an end, and we are building a very prosperous future for us all. So I want to thank you for watching that movie, for understanding, and for your intense desire to bring about a new reality. And if you haven't watched that movie, then join us. Join in the Thrive movement because we can take itty bitty steps that really serves all of humanity. And it's so simple, so easy by just becoming active. It's fun. And I am so excited. More news to come. And it all has to do with you and your creation ability. It's time. And even though those gas prices are going up at the pump, well, we look at it, we don't get angry. We look at it and say, well, all right, they are going up. But so is my ability to create the energy known as money. When I need to, I can provide and create all the money that I need because the universe is so abundant. I can be safe and reassured that life is fine. I'm fine. I'm safe. You're safe. And together we're creating a brilliant reality. So let's get on with tonight's show with the phenomenal Mr. Tom Lescher. Welcome back, Tom, to Law of Attraction Talk Radio. I'm so glad to see you again.
Aloha, I'm glad to see you too.
Oh, this is going to be great. So you're back in Honolulu.
Yeah, Kailua.
Kailua. Oh, on the other side. Okay.
Yeah. It's very nice here. Very nice. I just got back from Maui today. I was swimming with the whales and the dolphins last week and talking with Ram Dass. I don't know if you know Ram Dass, but I gave that workshop with Ram Dass, and it was wonderful and very enlightening, and I'm feeling very, very open. This is very Pisces, so I'm feeling a little kind of like, I wouldn't say grounded, I'd say really connected.
Oh, good.
To other dimensions. So, I will try to be linear, logical, rational, and talk reasonably on our interview today. But I can't guarantee it.
Okay. I just love doing these interviews with you. All right, Tom, so tell us the scoop on the planets in the month
All right.
of March. A lot of activity, huh?
Yes, yes, indeed. Um, yeah, there's so much going on. The big thing. I mean, should I jump right to the big thing? Let's look at the month as it goes. As it goes, we start off in Pisces. Neptune, Chiron, Mercury, and the Sun all in Pisces. Okay, opposite this retrograde Mars in Virgo, but they move on through the month, and then Mercury goes into Aries on the 2nd of March. Okay,
Uh-huh.
and it goes up to 7 degrees, turns retrograde, and goes back into Pisces around the 22nd, and then turns, and then it does turn direct, but it's not really going to make it back into Aries by the end of the month. Yeah, it stays retrograde, goes all the way back into Pisces. During that time, we know that Uranus, the planet Uranus, went into Aries last spring. It's just still sitting there 3, 4 degrees, 5 degrees of Aries. So that whole time from the second, when Mercury goes into Aries, it's really connecting with Uranus as it goes through, then turns around, comes back over Uranus. And Mercury Uranus, that's just a place to start. It's bonkers, nutso, wacko. Both of those have to do with the nervous system. Okay, Uranus is the third eye. It's this awakening. It's this enlightening, enlightenment. Mercury is the left brain, linear, logical, rational thinking,
Right.
communicating. Okay, it's the internet and Facebook and network and communication and this and that, and you mix that with Uranus, and you get the nutty professor, you get the mad scientist, you get the extraterrestrial, abductee. No, I'm just kidding. But you get into very heightened states of awareness where the third eye is open. But this also creates great instability. So there can also be extreme fluctuations where one moment it's aha, and the next moment all the lights go off, your computer dies, and all the all the electricity goes zonkers, and things just go haywire because Uranus is about individuation. That process of individuation is basically the opposite of codependence. I'm sorry. Don't depend on anybody, anything outside yourself. You tap in, you really go into your state of my individual truth. So this is a very intense time, particularly with a retrograde Mercury, that it is a lot of inner action, a good time for inner work, a time for inner reflection, a time for inner revelation. But in terms of like getting from point A to point B, and getting the lab reports done on time, and the financial statements, and I suggest everyone tries to get their income tax done early this year because there's probably going to be some delays and some communication errors and pitfalls and post office and internet and different kinds of communication problems when this Mercury goes retrograde, particularly because it's going, like I say, with the planet Uranus, which is extreme, sudden, and unpredictable.
Okay, are you saying that we should wait until after March to even do our taxes? Wait till it's out of retrograde? Or we need to be doing it right now, which I always put off till the last minute?
Yeah, yeah. Well, here, let me see when it goes direct. It goes direct on. It goes direct on April 4th. Now, if you want to wait until then, like I say, retrograde means reflect, regather, redo, reorganize. It's like it's inward. And so it would be a very good time with a retrograde Mercury to look over all your past records and bring in all of your, tally up where you've been, what you've done. And actually, it can function as a good time of reviewing 2011,
Okay.
where you started out and what you moved through and what you learned. And I mean, money's a good thing. Money's energy, and doing all these things around money or with money, it doesn't have to be bad and evil. It's actually, you know what? So this is a good time for doing these things. And in terms of getting it off, putting it in the mail, this, that, and the other thing, I'm also encouraging that it may take a little longer. There may be some surprises. There may be some, that accountant's not available, or where is that bank statement, or, and so you want to just allow yourself a little more time this year so that you don't get all twisted, bent out of shape, nervous, and anxious.
Well, that's good to know. That's good to know because we all have to do our taxes. Darn it.
And that is about as practical advice as I ever gave anybody. No, just kidding. Your birth chart tells you everything, and it answers every and any question, no matter how mundane. But let's look at the other aspects that are going on during this time. Because if we look at March in particular, before Mercury goes into Aries, okay, which is actually pretty early on, but the Sun remains in Pisces. Chiron, and this is very important. This is the big thing that's going on this month. It's really going on all month, not just this Mercury Uranus thing. But the big news, Mars is over in Virgo.
Mm-hmm.
It's going retrograde. Chiron is in Pisces. It's going forward. And all month, pretty much, Mars and Chiron are opposite. So that's one thing. However, they are also squaring the moon's nodes that are in Gemini and Sagittarius. So this is a very, very, very powerful time. This is like they call it Grand Cross. Okay, two planets squaring the moon's nodes gives us 4 points. It actually makes this little box. It's a very powerful, powerful time. And the power around this, how do I put this? I have to talk. I actually have this whole thing that just came to me just before this interview, and if we have time, I'd like to go into it. And I want to thank, first of all, one of my great teachers, Jeffrey Wolf Green, the founder of evolutionary astrology, that really showed me and enlightened me as to the evolutionary stages of humanity.
Wow.
This planet is like a schoolyard, okay, a schoolhouse, and we come in and we start learning at the bottom, and we graduate until we get to Christ or Buddhic consciousness, and we don't have to come back anymore. Well, at least 3/4 of the population, or the beginning, or the lower grades, okay, has to do with consensus, herd state reality. We're just learning about time and space. We're learning about our bodies. We're learning how things function. And if we have a beer and a football game and a nice couch and our bodies are happy, we're happy. And we don't really do a lot of thinking outside the box. We follow Fox News and whatever the scientists say and whatever the president says, I'm doing it. So this is the large majority of the population. And the main thing about that is that authority, Saturn, is outside themselves. I'm not the authority. I'm a victim, or I'm a winner or a loser, but it's the result of, so-and-so, my mom and dad, or the president, or the economy, or the this, or the that, or the other, and it's very much, in the here and now, the current day authorities. Well, we reached the peak of that. The peak of that is the leaders of that herd. The president, some of the movie stars, the people who set the fads and the fashion, the CEOs of the corporations, they're on the top of that.
Mm-hmm.
that reality, you know, we can incarnate for hundreds of lifetimes in that herd state until there comes an evolutionary twist, an evolutionary turn, where the external authority lets us down. There's no cure for cancer. There's no cure for this. They don't understand that. This religion caused, you know, this war. There's some trauma. There's some, you know, where, you know what? This reality doesn't meet my needs. And the soul evolves to the next stage. And it's kind of a jump off the cliff into what we call the individuated stage, where I take responsibility for myself. I stop comparing myself to other people. I start thinking for myself. I start listening to ancient astrology and yogis and pygmies and aborigines. And, you know, I'm not stuck in this time period in this little box. I'm really stretching. And I am taking responsibility for my own creative life. I create my own reality. And I become more creative. There's a lot of anger initially. There's rebellion, rejection. Society, you know, is all messed up and this, that, and the other, you know, and I want to just blow them up and this, that, or the other. But eventually, through many lifetimes, we come into that creative place of the individual genius. So this is where the mind takes over. I'm thinking my way through and I'm creating this reality and I'm becoming Einstein or Mozart or Van Gogh or, you know, I'm a genius. I'm an artist. I'm unique. I'm a creative, you know, I'm doing all kinds of things, you know, and I'm independent of, you know, oh, the mundane, you know, what the economy is doing or this, that, or the other thing. I'm, you know, maybe the Unabomber, who knows, you know, but I'm removed. A lot of these people aren't found in the cities or, you know, nine to
Right.
five jobs, that kind of thing, yeah. And you have numerous lifetimes within that until, as great as you are, you know, as perfect as you are, as creative, and you got all this genius, this, that, and the other thing, you know, your mind just like blows circuits. You go here, you go as far as your mind can take you. And you reach this other pinnacle, and you have to jump off that cliff into the heart. And then you come into the spiritual stage. There's very few people, I don't know, Jeff Green says 5%, but we're in a time now that's really changing. You know, he's 75, 20, and 5. But these numbers are, you know, I mean, I don't like to just throw people in boxes. But the point is, you move from your head to your heart. You move from analyzing, figuring, thinking, calculating, strategizing, manipulating, exploiting to get your way, this, that, and it's all about me and my genius and blah, 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 blah. And you move into devotion. You move into compassion. You move into love. You move into a place where it's about us. It's about everyone. And sacrifice is not a dirty word. And it's just all about unity consciousness. And we move through this into the gurus and the teachers of these things until finally, you know, some of the final things that we master, well, first of all, we master the ego. And then we master sexuality. Sexuality is a very strong, powerful, yeah. And then, of course, all of our addictions. You know, and you know, any attachment that you have is going to bring you back for another life. So even if it's food, I mean, we're working on becoming breatharians now. But
Breatharians, as far as breathing.
yeah, they don't. Yeah, there's vegetarian, and there's yeah. You ultimately get to the place of being a breatharian.
Where you don't have to eat. Where you don't have to eat food at all.
Yeah, but you know, there's a lot of people that don't believe it. But
Oh,
I'm
I
not.
believe it. I believe it. I've seen it. I've seen it.
Yeah, yeah. We don't. You know, we don't need to go into
Okay.
that. I'm
Going
shocking.
to
But
that
let's
extreme.
number
Okay.
one. If you're listening to the Law of Attraction Radio, I'm going to say you're not in the consensus. Yeah. You know, because the guests that you have are alternative and they're, you know, I mean, so we have to say that we're at least up here in the individuated to the spiritual. And here's where we get into like assignments for the new age or the new paradigm. Okay. You know, basically like the movie Thrive. okay, and these activists, and this is the individuated stage, and the ideas trickle down, you know, from Einstein, from Mozart, from Picasso. Picasso started Cubism, you know, and we got into that, you know, or the Beatles start, you know, this, and the genius level comes in, and it trickles down into changing society and changing the laws and the rules and the governments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's very active, and it's very, you know, we're on the internet and we're changing this and we're bringing in this and we're doing that and da 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 da. And that will take you so far. And there are people who, and if, of course, you have to look at, you know, everybody's got their own assignment. Everybody's got their own birth chart. Everybody's got their own astrology. We each came in with our own unique personal destination, destiny. There is a group, and this is where Pisces comes in, right? The sun is still in Pisces, and Chiron is moving through Pisces. Neptune has just returned to Pisces after 165 years.
Wow.
It's spending the next 14 years in Pisces. So this is a very powerful time of Pisces. And Pisces is the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end, the void, the infinite potential, unbounded, limitless, infinite love. It's love. It's energy. It's the heart. Neptune, Pisces. This is a very powerful time. For what? For dropping down, for dropping in, for feeling, for coming into our intuition, and for following our bliss, for following our excitement, for tapping into I am you and you are me and we are all together. And it's a change, and it comes out of love. And this is just so powerful. And it comes out of the moment. So we're not even attached to changing the world, changing society, stopping Monsanto, doing this, that, or the other thing. I'm not, you know, I don't want to say, this is what I'm saying. Everybody's got their own place.
Right.
And the place of some people, you know, these gurus or whatever are working with the, you know, the energy fields and the ley lines, you know, people working with the grid. You know, it's also said that there are certain, you know, energy folks that are here making sure the trees grow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, there's just, you know, there's all different levels, layers, possible, you know, focus of attention.
Okay,
And so,
let's recap for a second, because you're saying this is extremely powerful time. You're saying that governments are changing, everything, our outlook on what we're seeing is changing, where our beliefs patterns or our trust in what we thought was a good government, or we trust certain things are going to be revealed to us that they're not so trustworthy, right? But
right.
you're saying that during this time that it really is about the mind and creating something better, and so that we don't have to really be bothered or worried about the external changes, because we just need to be focusing in on our mind, our creating, and our heart. Is that correct?
That is, I would say primary.
Okay.
Let's do primary, secondary, you
Okay.
know, I mean, let's look at priorities.
Okay.
I think if you want to look at priorities, the number one priority, okay, during this time period is to do your inner work.
Okay.
As you do your inner spiritual work, and you, because we're all connected to the collective.
Right.
And as each one of us breaks through our own fears, our own paranoia, our own blocks, you know, and this is the ultimate, is balancing the masculine and the feminine. If you inwardly do your inner marriage work, balance your Mars and Venus, okay, balance your masculine and your feminine, it's going to have an effect on the collective balance of masculine and feminine, which is going to help reduce the patriarchy, the old exclusive, you know, reality of civilization that we are now being crushed by, you know, the exclusive, self-interest, capitalistic, greed-centered, control freaks is all coming from this patriarchal male, you know, male out of whack. Okay, 6,500 years we've been in, and the feminine needs is now rising and strengthening, and this feminine is bringing us this awareness of unity, that no one wins without everybody winning, and that it's we're all on this planet, we're all on spaceship Earth, and nobody's getting out of here ahead of anybody else. It's like nobody's first and nobody's last, and so when this feminine energy comes up, this is going to help this balance. And so each one of us doing our meditation, doing our inner work, and this was with relationships, with sexuality, with our emotional balancing. We've got Saturn in Libra now, and it's going to be there until October, November. It goes in, to Scorpio, which is even going to take it to a deeper level. But we are balancing. This is a time of balancing and coming into adjustment, and really understanding our our interdependence and interrelationship with everything else. So number one is inner work. Doing our, getting your body in shapes. Your body is your instrument. We've got this Mars in Virgo going on until July. We've got, Chiron and Neptune both, in Pisces this whole time period that is opening up this crown chakra. So it's time to do our physical, mental, astral, emotional, work to really come into our own spiritual centered self. Simultaneously, but almost secondary. But what I would say is what's naturally going to come out of that is you're going to only buy organic food. And you are only going to live, a simple life, because you're not attached or needing, all kinds of, addictions and goodies and things like that in order to, so you're not going to be supporting the system with your time, with your energy, with your money. You're not going to need a bunch of money in the bank. You're not going, you're going to, support alternative energy, and you're going to be growing your garden, and you're going to be guided into, going places and doing things that are going to basically pull the bottom out from these other corporations or individuals that are trying to and of course I think also you do that inner work, you do that meditation, and you may be led to becoming a teacher. You may be led to educating, and like Thrive said, the main thing is to educate people, this 3/4 of the population or whatever that are blindly following their leaders. It's when they wake up. And how are they going to wake up? Well, they're going to wake up through stumbling onto a radio interview, or just talking to you at the street crossing, or it's going to just happen through each of us. Doing our inner work, we will be guided and led to the proper outlets, the proper modalities or methods of educating the greater public into a place of rebelling and changing and altering that external system.
Wow.
So we can say that some folks that are really working through this spiritual thing, they're meditating, and I know people that are working with the grid, and their meditations are just really working on very subtle astral planes, and they don't have that much, they don't go out that much, or they don't do that much. They're not that physically active, or they're not on the internet trying to affect global activism or this, that, or the other thing. But the work that they're doing is fundamental, and it's actually creating huge waves that are invisible to the newspapers and the reporters.
Well, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
you
So,
know.
so tell me about the fact, because you brought up Thrive, and the Thrive is really about the banking system and how it is very corrupt. And recently, just in the month of February, there has been 40 banks worldwide that their CEOs were forced to resign. So, is this playing into it, and can we expect more of this? Is this what you're talking about? The corruption is being
Uh, you
exposed?
know, Absolutely, because part of that is this Pluto up in Capricorn, and I've talked about that before. Pluto is the death of externalized authority, which is also government, banking systems, this, that, and the other, and it's squaring Uranus over here in Aries, which is liberation and freedom for the people and revelation. And this is, and then when Mercury comes around, then we have a situation where the square shows us it will be, Uranus is sudden, unpredictable revelation. Aha! It's awakening. It's enlightenment. It's a how dare you. It's a, I can't believe this has been going on without me knowing. It's a shock to the, and this can happen with like maybe some revelations about 9/11, revelations about Building 7, revelations about the gold standard, or things that have been going on behind the scenes. This is a time, this year, and particularly I would say this month with this Mercury Uranus,
Wow.
where there's going to be shocking news. Uranus is shock, Mercury is news. you know, and they're going to be together this whole month.
Wow.
And of course squaring that Pluto, which is the higher ups, the ones in control, the power mongers, the bankers, the government officials, the Monsanto people, the corporations. This is going to, be a very interesting month in terms of, what comes up on the internet, on YouTube, on television, radio, Wall Street Journal. Uh, it's yeah. And
Wow.
then
Yeah.
this is the other thing. So Mercury comes over Uranus, then it goes retrograde back over Uranus, and then next month it goes direct and comes back over Uranus a third time. Now this happens with all of these planets. Mars is doing that same thing. Mars was actually opposite Chiron back in, I wrote this down just to be a good reporter. The first time was 11/11.
Ah.
Mars into an opposition with Chiron, right at 0 degrees of Pisces. Then it went up, all the way up into the 20 degrees. Turned retrograde, is coming back for the second pass, March 22nd. And it keeps going back in, and it goes into Pisces. Then it goes, oh, well, that is actually in Pisces. Then it goes farther back into Pisces. Then it goes direct. I mean, Mars is in Virgo. Chiron is in Pisces. Mars goes all the way back to 3 degrees Virgo. And then it goes direct, and it comes back a third time, May 17th, and opposes Chiron the third time. So we have this threefold pass. Okay, Mercury over Uranus, Mars over Chiron. You can look at all the different planets. That when they go up to a point, they'll go retrograde, pass by, and then they'll go direct and pass by 3 times. And this is what? Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, the law of 3, create, sustain, destroy. This is all initiate, and in astrology it's cardinal, fixed, and mutable. So the first pass, okay, Mercury comes around and it hits Aries on the second, then it conjoins with Uranus, and we get this, it's this new revelation, new ideas, new shocking truths, new ideas about what's going on. Goes retrograde, we have this time period to integrate, to take the new information and make changes, make decisions, alter our lives, alter our course of action according to the new stimulation, to the new news, to the new revelation. Oh, it's like the rules of the game are changed. So during the retrograde phase, when the planet is going back over where it has been, is a time of integrating, individualizing, adapting myself to a new reality. And then it comes back the third time. And the third time says, okay, time's up. Had your chance. Window of opportunity to make that change shut. Yeah?
Wow.
So when you get this retrograde Mercury, okay, you have to look at before Mercury goes retrograde, some things happen. Okay. Then it hits that retrograde point and everybody thinks about, oh, well, now something's going to happen. No, guess what? Something already happened. Like these guys got fired. And between now and March 2nd, we've got another week or so. You know what? There's going to be a bunch more new stuff happen. Then Mars is going to go retrograde. And our society is going to have to look at, oh, goodness, we're going to have to get along without these guys. We're going to have to do something different so this doesn't happen again. We have to pass new legislation. We have to blah, 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 blah. So this retrograde period is a very powerful time for making decisions and integrating into a new reality.
Interesting. Fascinating. That just makes so much sense because I just learned yesterday that the UK is now, or a guy in Parliament in the UK has requested that they start investigating our Federal Reserve and Timothy Geithner and Bernanke and Greenspan for doing illegal activity and actually has to do with $6 trillion. So this appears to be coming out with the UK now investigating our Federal Reserve, which is not ours, it's a privately owned corporation.
Yes, yeah, which goes way back to what was it, 1913 or the 30s when they started that whole thing with the Morgans,
1913, yeah.
the Rothschilds and all the banker folks that are trying to run the whole show anyway. Yeah,
And it's
so
interesting that that's happening during the month that we have to prepare our IRS stuff.
yeah.
Because in 1913 was the creation of the IRS that went along hand in hand with the Federal Reserve. So there is some really interesting stuff coming up.
Yeah,
Maybe we won't
yeah.
have to do our income tax.
Yes.
That's what I'm creating. That's my intention.
No,
Down with taxes.
I have just been looking at that whole thing again now and having to, rethink and relook at the way that I've, handled my interactions with the government. Let's put it that way, in the past, and if I can continue to do that or not.
Yeah, it's really going to be a lot of internal work on how we're going to address things. Interesting, interesting. So, what else is going on?
Well, okay, so now here's the big thing. Okay,
Okay.
and here's where I started was with this Mars opposite Chiron squaring the moon's nodes. So we look at this and we look at, okay, these moon's nodes are in Gemini, Sagittarius. Gemini, Sagittarius, left brain, right brain. Okay, mental, intellectual. And so these moon's nodes take 1.5 years to move through a sign. But it's very interesting now to have these squaring planets because, like my teacher Jeff Green says, yeah, planets squaring the nodes indicate a skipped step or something that needs to be done or redone before the future can be realized.
Hmm.
So this is like a missing piece to the puzzle. And so now we have two missing pieces to the puzzle. Before we can get to what? Gemini, the south node is the past. And Gemini is the joker, the trickster. Truth is kind of subjective, and I do the devil's advocate, or everybody's got their own reality, this kind of thing. Sagittarius is the truth, natural law. This is what it's about. It's honesty. So before we get from our left brain Gemini, oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, or kind of bend this, shape that, the shapeshifter, okay, the schizophrenic twins, but
That's me.
I
That's
got the
me.
moon there, so I'm talking about myself. So, but before we can move from that place to the Sagittarius, of the vision quest, the holy grail, the the ark of the covenant. I mean, this is coming into this truth. It's the philosophy. It's the natural law of things. The guru. Before we can get there, we need to go pick up Chiron in Pisces and go pick up Mars in Virgo, and then we can get up to that Sagittarius. This is the way I'm seeing it. I got to write this down or something. This is very powerful. So, Chiron in Pisces. Let's talk about that one. It's going to be there for 8 years. It's just kind of gone in there, less than a year ago. And I spoke of, and this is the inner work. This is the powerful need for inner work. Because I say that Pisces and Neptune in this 12th house is about love. It's about the opening of the heart. And this opening of the heart, it's just amazing that I just got back from this retreat on Maui with Ram Dass and Peter Cater, who's this Grammy award-winning pianist, composer. And he's recording yoga music and just amazing music his whole life. But I had this concert with him and a violinist, last night. And it was just amazing how art, and this is Pisces, art, whether it's color, visual arts, music, dance, hypnotherapy, all these ways, all these means of making the invisible visible, making the inaudible audible, bringing the infinite potential into manifest a creation where we can witness it and experience it, is love. It's lifting us. New music, new art, it taps us, it brings us bliss, it opens us, it softens us. It creates this place of magic, of miracles that we can all appreciate. And everyone listening to the concert is witnessing and experiencing. And we have this unified field of consciousness while we're all witnessing, experiencing, hearing this, or seeing this or that or the other. I mean, it's revelation. And this is healing. This talk, this week, this retreat was the healing light of spirit. And I just gained this new understanding of what healing is. Healing is reunifying, bringing back together that which has been separate. And love is the ultimate healing medicine for humanity, for our planet, for the environment, for business, for anything and everything. Love brings this healing of separation. When we come out of being a separate entity and see our connection to each other, to the animals, to the planet, to the cosmos, to the extraterrestrials, to the angels, when we see that, all that is all that is. God, Goddess is all that is. There's nothing outside of all that is, as Lescher says. Yeah, we come into this place. So this is Chiron, the wounded healer. moving through Pisces for the next 7 years. We have this opportunity to come into healing ourselves through love, and I'm going to say through art and through magical experiences. And it's just, I came to this point last night where, doggone it, you've got to do what you love. I don't care. We're coming to the edge of the precipice. We need to do what we love doing. That is what we came in to do. And our minds and our past and our conditioning and our society is going to give us all kinds of doubt and fear and reasons why we can't do what we love to do, and it's bullshit. You see these artists, and this is part of this inner process, and this, here's this Mars in Virgo. This is the powerful desire to break through. I'm going to play this piano whether I make a dime or not. For me, I'm going to say I'm going to do astrology whether I get clients or not. You know, for the artist, I'm going to paint whether it's not about, you know, we have to move into this place that it's about love. And what I love doing is going to heal someone somewhere of something, because I am sharing my dharma, my truth, myself, and that is going to create. So I'm going to, you know, I really want to say that it is about love. And if you're passing out pamphlets or wanting to, you know, change, you know, Monsanto or the pharmaceutical companies and do all this stuff for Thrive and change the world, and that's what you love doing. It's not out of, you know, fear or anger, or, you know, it's just I love you know, showing people that there's a new potential or a new future, or, you know, we're coming into a new paradigm, and they don't have to, you know, I'm helping wake people up out of love. Then I'm going to say, yeah, that's what it's about. And I'm going to say that there are other people, and I don't want them to feel ashamed, or like, if you're not out there doing pamphlets and changing the world, you're not a good spiritual person. You know, I mean, you know, there are also people that through their artistic creations and through their truth and through their, you know, their singing or their dancing or their music or their, you know, their astrology or their tarot or, you know, this angel cards or this, that, or the other, you know, through their channeling, or they too are also bringing in this new paradigm because they are doing what they love. So it's all about love. But before we get to this Sagittarius, before we get to this truth, we have to do this healing. And part of this healing is breaking through the walls of separation and healing ourselves. And that is going to bring us to that North Node in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, which brings us into Taurus, which, you know, straightens out the economy and our finances. And it just says that, and this is the other great thing about this month, we have this great trine. Jupiter, trine Pluto, trine Mars, all in Earth, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, this great grand trine going on all month. Very powerful. Black Moon Lilith, also conjunct Jupiter in Taurus. I'm not going to talk about that today, but I'm doing future workshops on that all summer. But this grand trine, okay, is it's really a balancer for all of this surprise and shock and things that are going to change and all these things that come in. It's very wonderful to have this stabilizing force, okay, of this grand trine in Earth coming through this month also at the same time. The other step, so I talk about healing and unity, you know, that separation of Chiron and Pisces. The other missing factor, missing piece to the puzzle that needs to happen with this Mars square the nodes. I haven't thought about, so I've got to say, Mars is our sexuality. Mars is our masculinity. Mars is our animal instinct. And it's coming through Virgo, the powerful feminine, and the sign of integration, of purification, of purity. This, I would say, is also a time period during this Mars squaring the nodes, which is going on all this month and really on until, I would say, all through March, all through April, and into May. This is a very powerful time of purifying our sexuality, our sexual nature. This is a time where we can have crisis, we can have health crisis, we can have sexual crisis, we can have emotional crises going on that really point to this need to get down to and to work out and to work through. Don't forget, whatever is suppressed, denied, avoided, becomes perverted, distorted, and the source of anger, which is Mars. We've had 6,500 years of suppressing our natural sexual expression. So guess what? There's a lot of distortion. There's a lot of perversion. There's a lot of misunderstanding, misinformation, miseducation, going back generations. So I don't care what your mom and dad told you. And I don't care what your priest or rabbi or guru told you. You need to really, this is a time. And of course, Mars opposite Chiron. Hello, Chiron is also this healer, this healing energetic force. So this is a very, important time period. And that brings me into this whole changing of the paradigm of that balancing of the masculine and the feminine. And, what we have to do is, this is great, man. The women are going to love it, right? It's time to listen to the woman. It's time for the masculine to, the masculine just wants to charge, go, do, say, penetrate, cut, chop, just go. And the feminine is now coming up. And the powerful feminine is just, has to just simply cut the, it cut through. It's time for the masculine to turn around and listen. And Mars, of course, is retrograde, which is turn around. Mars went retrograde, and it's going to stay retrograde until the 24th. Yeah, let's see here. Mars stays retrograde until April 13th. Yeah, April 14th. So it's Mars retrograde is don't be charging, don't be starting, don't be going out. Turn around and listen to your woman. And this is not just your woman in terms of, oh, I'm a guy and you're a woman. We all have a Mars, we all have a Venus. We are both masculine and feminine. So it's time for, and at the same time, I will also say, on another level, it is good for the men to listen to the women. And women have, a new insight, some new messages. Some, and it's a shame that they haven't been really honored, listened to, respected for the last 6,500 years. But now I think they're getting tired of it. They're getting very burned, very worn out maybe a little angry, a little bitter, a little bit of resentment. They're tapping into some of their deeper energy where they're demanding a little more to be heard, to be listened to.
Said everything about the women, and right now there appears to be all these opportunities for new wars to be starting in the Middle East and whatever. And it's like, okay, here are the men going now, and they're starting to be very aggressive. We've got to get the women in there because I think this planet has had enough wars. It's time for us to say to the men, stop it. You're
Yeah.
killing our kids, and I don't like it.
Yes.
So now is the time for all the women to just stand up and hey, you know, that's a real simple thing. What is it that they, as far as their sexuality, they just stop sleeping with the men?
I was just thinking that very same thing. There was some country, Africa or India or something, where the women just said, you know what? That's it, buddy.
No more. You stop this stuff, this
Yeah,
foolishness. And
I
this
think
is
we
where
need
the
to,
women have got to start taking their power back.
that would be a great, that would be a great, movement, to get going.
Well, it definitely gets some attention, but we've got to do something to get to get the guys or the aggressiveness to stop right now. So I think we women can do something, and there's a whole bunch of other things too. But we have got to start being vocal as well and saying, no, this is not right.
Right.
So we can't just sit back and in our families just sit back. We have to start taking action. I think that's good. So it all ties in together.
It does. It does. And I mean, part of that also is just looking at the whole woman's movement. The women's movement started out, and I think that there was this desire and this need to be heard and to be seen, and that need to be heard and seen, I think, was even taken by the powers that be or by the press or kind of misrepresented or misunderstood. But then it started to be, women um, playing men's games.
Mm,
I'll beat you at your own game.
that's
I'll
right.
wear a suit and I'll take over the corporation. I'll put on a uniform and fight in the war. And so a lot of women, I think, have actually gotten a little skewed message
Oh, you're
in
right.
terms of it's not about beating them at their own game and showing how strong we are or how masculine we are, but rather it's by showing them how strong the feminine is.
Good
And
point.
these are two very different realities.
Mm,
So
mm.
it's not, the Hillary Clinton necessarily that, is like making her way into the Oval Office, okay, by wearing men's clothes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I'm.
But yeah,
No,
but I see what you're saying. It's like we had to pretend we were men. We had to become aggressive to play at their game to break that glass ceiling. But now we need to find out and look at our feminine power
yes,
in which to
yes.
heal the world. That is an excellent point. Excellent point.
So and that's just like this whole thing. Like I say, it's going to take. We're looking at this 26,000 year cycle. That was 6,500 years of male. 6,500 years of matriarchy. you know. So we're looking at 13,000 years. Well, that kind of thing doesn't happen in a century. This
Mhm.
is actually, we're talking now about this shift, the ultimate shift of masculine and feminine. I don't know that we're going to see it in our lifetime, but certainly our children and their children, so we need to be models and we need to educate and we need to bring it
Yeah,
in
I do.
to the educational systems and we need to, our offspring, it's how we act and how we interact
Mm.
and how we respect and how so yeah, this is, it's really teaching through example. I think is just like the primary number one. because it's our children and their children that are going to, see us as the seed sowers of this new reality. So it's like as we do our inner work balances our personal masculine and feminine, and we come up with different kinds of partnerships and relationships. And we know, I mean, I see it all over the place, left and right, and all over. The women are just not buying it anymore.
Good. Yeah.
They're step they're stepping out of these relationships with guys that are just dense, dumb, blindfolded, whatever, taking too many "I'll be just like you" pills, or whatever, when they're watching TV or something. So it's. I mean, and I hate to get down on the guys so much, but it's. I think that in itself, like you're saying, and they're withholding. They're not in a not in a punishment kind of a way, but just kind of in a I can't do this anymore. This is unreal. This is false. This is fake. This is not feeding or nurturing either one of us to go on with this superficial type of relationship, type of experience, type of reality. So
Okay.
this feminine, is really about what, our feelings are what's real. We can fool ourselves with our ideals and our ego. But when it comes to intimacy and sexuality and our feelings, it's either there or it's not there. And you can only pretend, so long.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So
Interesting.
this is a real time of coming into truth, about, and it's a time of, and what's Mercury? Conversation in Aries about our sexuality and our needs and our desires and our instincts, and Uranus is awakened, enlightened conversation about what we haven't been talking about, or what we've been pretending or faking or ignoring,
Hmm.
especially while Mercury was in Pisces, kind of dreaming or hoping it would go away. So
Whoa.
this could be a time of radical honesty,
Oh, wow.
of, of radical conversation, about shit that we're afraid to talk about. But you know what? We have to.
Yeah,
It, it,
absolutely.
may, it may show up, it may show up in newspapers or this, that, or, out there in social, but I'm going to say in our personal relationships, we all have this Mercury Uranus happening somewhere in our charts. Okay. And it has to do with, how I'm going to help. I don't know. It's like how I get my needs met by meeting your needs, and we meet each other's needs, and therefore we are either happy or not. Okay. I don't know. It's pretty trippy, Saturn is still over there in Libra, and it's bizarre the number I'm seeing. For some reason, it's just like I see a lot of people getting married.
Really?
There's a you know I mean there's a lot of people totally breaking up, and it's like totally not working at all, but it's like either this intense, magical, truthful, honest, open, deep partnership and relationship that, yeah, we're ready to do it, or it's just like this. I can't do it anymore. It's throw in the towel, give it up, give it over. But it's like it's almost like the upper class and the lower class. It's like the middle class is disappearing,
Yeah.
and it's also in relationships. It's either getting really tight or not happening at all. We're moving. You can just see us moving to the extremes.
So, bottom line is we are getting into this healing phase, and awareness is the opportunity for us to heal.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Well, we are almost completely out of time. I think we've actually gone over, but I've so thoroughly enjoyed this. Now, you said Pisces is water, and we have the cruise coming up. Is the Pisces going to be in effect during our cruise time?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Chiron and Neptune are still going to be in Pisces, and Chiron is going to be squaring the moon's nodes. Yeah, right during that time. So that healing that I was talking about is, going to be happening right on the cruise. I mean, it's perfect.
Right on the cruise. I know. I feel that this is going to be the most powerful cruise I have ever been on. Just by the high energy, I'm so excited about it.
Yeah.
And besides, I get to be in person, not over Skype with you. It's going to be fun, and we're going to have a good time. I can tell already.
I get to meet Jules face to face.
I know. I know. Save me a hug. All righty. Well, Tom, as usual, you are just a delight. So much great information. Thank you so much for taking the time.
You betcha. Thanks for having me. You're awesome. And I can't wait to see you soon.
Oh, good. I'm so excited. Okay. And to all my wonderful listeners out there, have a great week. We will be back next week. See you. Bye bye. As we close another show, it is my sincerest wish that you have a wonderful week ahead. Remember, through you, the world changes to reflect your happiness. If you'd like to comment on today's show, please send me an email to jules@loaradionetwork.com.